Jane Ghosh from Discover Kalamazoo addressing the City Council meeting, talking about statistics with travel. And hello, this is Joseph Patrick Fair for Public Media Network at the Kalamazoo City meeting. I would like to introduce you folks to Jane with Discover Kalamazoo, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the new coming Discover Kalamazoo app. Go ahead, Jane, and let us know all about it.
Thank you. So I'm Jane Ghosh. I'm the president and CEO of Discover Kalamazoo. We are the Convention Visitors Bureau for Kalamazoo County. So our job is to bring in out-of-towners, and then when they come in, give them a great introduction to Kalamazoo to help them navigate around the city and find places to eat, places to go, things to do, and that kind of thing. And while we do that, we also find that those are all great services to residents of Kalamazoo County, because those are the exact same questions that residents have. Where can I go? What's happening this weekend? In order to do a better job of what we say, meeting people where they are. So how can we provide people information about places to go, things to do, where they are, where they want that information? We are very soon going to be launching a Discover Kalamazoo app for your phone. And I have a beta here, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that. Maybe see it right there. And so,
yes, I can see that.
It's not quite ready for prime time.
Yeah.
Starting February 1st through 9th is Kalamazoo Craft Beverage. It's an annual event we do every year. And we're going to be launching the app, as our plan to launch that app in conjunction with Kalamazoo Craft Beverage. So all of our partner businesses, many of whom I believe watch things on Public Media Network, all of the businesses that we have listings for on the Discover Kalamazoo website will have a listing on this app, because the app is directly fed from the Discover Kalamazoo website. And to make that work as well as possible, we need those partner businesses to upload photos of their businesses so that the users of the app have a great experience. So for example, I showed you this app. If I click on food and drink here, it'll load restaurants. So these are just restaurants that happen to load. And if the restaurant hasn't uploaded a photo, it defaults to our default Discover Kalamazoo photo. And that's not nearly as good an experience for the user as you'll see, some restaurants that, this is a bad example, restaurants that have uploaded a photo. So as much as possible, we want your listeners and your viewers to upload photos of their restaurant owners.
Hello, this is Joseph Patrick Fair for Public Media Network, reporting in from City Hall.
Hello, Kalamazoo. Are you looking for what's happening in our great city? Then you're at the right place. We're your neighbors at Public Media Network. We're here to bring you the stories and events that shape our lives, connect neighborhoods, and celebrate the spirit of Kalamazoo. From festivals and music, workshops at the library, theater productions, film screenings, and important local discussions, we're on the ground, capturing the moments that matter. Stay with us to explore the heart of Kalamazoo, one event at a time. You won't want to miss what's coming up. Guess what, Kalamazoo? Blendings Vocal Ensemble presents an evening of songs that express the love, joy, sorrows,
Well, it's nice to hear all the friendly conversation here in the chambers. I appreciate that, but the clock is ticking, and it's after 5 o'clock, and we have this public meeting scheduled for 5. We have a few empty seats up here, and I'll talk about that just in a minute. But first order of business here is to call this meeting to order of the Kalamazoo City Commission, this committee of the whole meeting for Monday, August 11th, 2025. Deputy Clerk Moss, please call the roll.
Commissioner Cooney. Commissioner Decker. Commissioner Hoffman.
Present.
Commissioner Pradel. Commissioner Wilson.
Present.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Present.
Mayor Anderson.
Here. Thank you, Deputy Clerk Moss. Appreciate it. May I have a motion to excuse Commissioners Decker and Pradel from the meeting this evening?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooney.
Support.
Supported by Vice Mayor Hess.
Commissioner Decker is on her way.
Is on her way.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll excuse her for a few minutes here anyway. So all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. And people might notice that there's nobody sitting to my right here. Usually there would be somebody from the city manager's office, but since this is a commission-led activity, no one from the city manager's office is sitting in on this presentation this evening. So, no special communications there, which means I will now move right to public comment. Just a reminder for the committee of the whole meetings, public comments are 2 minutes. You may comment on any topic you are interested in. If you want to make a public comment, please come forward, state your name, whether you live in the city, and you'll have 2 minutes. See no one?
No, we're good, Mayor. Here we go.
Someone's got to come up or we won't.
No, it'd be hard for us.
Good evening. My name is Maggie Adams. I do reside in the city, and I am a part of Isaac. We want to say thank you to Pamela Weidman from Raftellus for being here, and we look forward to seeing your presentation. I also want to say thank you for the website. It's a pleasure to look at that and see what's going on. However, I'm glad we have this opportunity, even though it's short, to speak indirectly in front of Pamela Weidman from Raftellus. It's our understanding there's a stakeholder meeting tomorrow morning, and we were wondering if the commission was listening to us. Who did you decide was a key stakeholder? How are those invitations sent out? And as you decided that discussion, who would you invite? Who did you decide that you were leaving out? We had encouraged the commission to consider different places in our community where your residents live, not as a collective, not just by individuals in the organizations that you often see in front of us, like Isaac, El Concilio, and NAACP. Yes, we're important stakeholders, but your residents are also key stakeholders. So how are you getting information from them? I see on the website, it's great, a survey, I heard all that on Monday night, that's great. But again, there's a real limit to surveys like this, because you decide the questions. It kind of limits somebody like me, because I'm not even the Isaac representatives, to give my opinion in terms of what am I looking for in a city manager. You don't really capture the nuances that well, and I can't even see clarification on a survey, as well as I gotta have some technology skill, even though I know you're offering hard copies. We'd ask you to use a community meeting to allow for direct interaction and dialogue with Pamela Weidman, and we still are asking for that in this community. It's a great opportunity for you to show transparency in your commitment to hearing from us in this community, and we hope that you consider holding some community meetings for this next.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening to our mayor, our vice mayor, commissioners, everyone here. My name is Charlotte Davis. Thank you for this opportunity tonight, this special session, and also welcome again to Ms. Pamela, the Raftellus team. Thank you to our commissioners committee. I know you all have worked very hard, so thank you for your time spent on this vital endeavor. On Friday, some of our organizations, including the Douglas Community Association, El Concilio, Isaac, the NAACP, and Participatory Defense Movement Kalamazoo, sent a message to Ms. Pamela, and please know that with more time, we would have been able to have more organizations. And while there are great steps tonight, the session, the stakeholders meeting tomorrow morning, we have shared in the past and at past city commission meetings that we are excited for and look forward to community-hosted engagement with Ms. Pamela, a session that's not hosted by the city, not located in city buildings, nor with city staff or representatives. And that's not to be exclusive, you all, but to center trust and transparency, honesty, and without the fear of retaliation. And also to offer a session that's not on the basis of first come, first serve. Our community session would be open to the public. We feel this is important to ensure that all beloved community members and those who may never enter City Hall due to past systemic harm or even discomfort are included. We do ask that if possible that Ms. Pamela could join us again later this month. We are looking at possible dates after next week to ensure that we have time to intentionally collaborate and invite community members for honest conversations centered in the touchstones. I'm going to stop there, and then Chair Sis is going to finish for me here.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathy Faison. I work with Isaac, Chair for the Civil Rights Board, as well as the Executive Director for Participatory Defense Movement Kalamazoo, and I will be finishing up Dr. Davis's statement. We have 2 community locations, spaces already in mind. If this is not possible, we plan to hold our community-led sessions and share the results with Ms. Pamela and you all. We look forward to hearing from you and the wonderful possibilities of this inclusive community engagement. This is not an either or, but a both and. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Toby Hannah Davies, city resident. Last week, Dr. Arthur James gave a powerful presentation to the YWCA. I want everyone here to get his message. It's very important for our choice of a next city manager. Dr. Arthur James, many of you know, dedicated his career as an OBGYN and pediatrician to reducing the racial disparities in infant mortality. He led major initiatives across Michigan and Ohio and is nationally recognized with recent national awards. Here's why this is important to our city manager choice. Infant mortality rate is internationally recognized as the best indicator of the health of an area's people. And our local infant mortality rate for Black babies is shockingly bad, 4 times the rate of white babies here, and nearly double the state and national rate. It has been slowly improving with everything that's been done, healthcare access, education, safe sleep info, but at this rate, it will take 38 more years to catch up with our white infant mortality rate. If you've seen the film Race, the Power of an Illusion, you know that genetics is not the cause of the disparity. Researchers looked at the infant mortality rate in West Africa. It is not high. But if West African women move to the US, their daughters' infant mortality rate gets much worse. Rochelle.
Thank you.
My name's Rochelle Habeck, and I'm a city resident. Had the privilege of starting in on the infant mortality initiative with Dr. James, and as one of Isaac's task forces that has worked very hard on this over many years. As Toby was saying, Dr. James explained the strong negative impact of chronic stress on the body. In the U.S., living while black is causing chronic stress. The racism built into all our systems, the way everything works, is seriously damaging people's health, and the infant mortality rate for black babies and brown babies is still an alarming indicator. But it's not the same everywhere in the United States. Black babies are twice as likely to die in their first year of life in Michigan as black babies in Massachusetts. Clearly, we must make changes that reduce the chronic stress caused by structural racism here. We need a city manager who is committed and understands the importance of ending structural racism everywhere the city has power or influence. That will improve all kinds of human outcomes for everyone who's black or brown. I had the alarming and deeply moving experience as a chaplain at a local hospital of tending to many mothers in the infant units and witnessing their experience in lots of different ways and understanding how socioeconomic factors impacted greatly their experience, their health experience, their prior experience, their options after discharge, and to see that very literally, including holding some of those babies in my hands who didn't make it, makes a strong impression, and it really helped me understand that this was more than just a health outcome that we needed to address. And so,
thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the Commission with public comments this evening? Seeing no one else, I want to thank everyone that did take the time and made the effort to come down here and provide public comments. Thank you. Next, we are on to the work of the Commission this evening, and I'm going to pass it over to Vice Mayor Hess to kick us off on that and explain what's going on this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, thank you all for coming and for being here to listen to a presentation from Ms. Pamela Weidman of Raftellus. She has been working behind the scenes, like the proverbial duck swimming on the water and just making it look really smooth, working with our media folks, with everyone putting out the survey, putting out the webpage, to scheduling future meetings. Pamela is here this evening to give us a presentation about the timeline and how we are going to move forward. A little bit about this. She can talk about the stakeholder meeting in the morning, and then there will be question and answer from the commission for her. So I'll ask Ms. Pamela to come up, please, and to give us her presentation. Thank you for being here, Pamela. She thinks this weather is nice.
Welcome. Nice to have you back.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be back with you. Thank you for the weather. It is great compared to North Carolina, and it's just really a pleasure to be with you and in your community again. I was preparing for this and recall that I was here June 16th, so I want to applaud you all. A lot has happened since June 16th. You've been very, very busy in this process. We got our notice to proceed in early July, so again, a lot of work has gone on. So what I want to do tonight is really just to go over and make sure we're all on the same page as we continue to move through this very important process. I want to step back a little bit and just recall what we've done, how we've gotten here today, where we are today, and then how we will move forward. This is really, really important. This is the hard part, right? And so once we get the position posted, bit. You'll hear from me a little less, and then I'll come back at the end of the process and we'll talk more. But just in terms of a projected timeline, I know you have this in front of you. It's on your screen, so I apologize for it might be a little hard to read, but you have it in front of you. This is really important. This is the projected timeline. So July 14th, I began my discovery meetings with each of you all, spent some time with you all talking to you to really understand what you needed from your individual perspectives in terms of your next city manager. And we're here tonight because I want to make sure I heard you correctly as a whole. So we're going to talk about that. So I started the discovery meetings with each of you all and the city attorney. We're here tonight, August the 11th, to talk to you all collectively as a group. We have a lot of work to do this week. We're going to have our stakeholder meeting in the morning. We're going to hear from some members of your community, and we are, hopefully our goal is for me to get you a draft brochure to post for your review, and then you have a recruitment plan, which is a part of this presentation. I'll go through that with you. So a lot to do this week with the goal of posting the recruitment brochure next week so that we can stay on your timeline. September 12th would be the first review of the applicants. That's when I'll start my work, speaking with the prospective applicants to see if they meet your qualifications. And then October 6th, I'll be joining you virtually to do what we consider a candidate review meeting. And then you all will direct me, you'll determine who you want to invite as finalists to the process. October 13th and 14th, I'll be back. We'll be doing final interviews. Those final interviews will include a number of things. We'll have a day of interviews with you all. They will also include an opportunity for the community to meet and greet the final candidates. We'll do a tour of the city, and then anything else that you all want to add to that final interview process. And then October 20th is when you all will be in position to make a final announcement about who your next city manager is. So that, again, is the projected timeline. A lot to do to meet the timeline that you all told me that you want to meet. Excuse me. I'm going to spend some time with you tonight going through the brochure elements. I really want to focus on 3 parts of the brochure elements as we move forward. I want to focus on the successful candidate, what I've heard through the discovery meetings, what we're hearing through the surveys that's posted. You're getting a great response as of today. Right before I came in here, you have a little over 200 responses already. I want to spend time on the successful candidate, I want to spend time on the qualifications, and I want to spend time on the compensation and benefits. The other parts I'll go through, but a team of folks are going to help me with those, but it's really important that we spend time on those 3 elements. So our brochure, when it's posted, your brochure, when it's posted, will have information about the position. It'll have the position priorities. You all may recall that as I talked to you all and as I presented early on, I talked about what are some of those first year goals, right? And so those were some of the things that you all wanted to see happen the first 12 to 18 months. What are those key priorities that the next city manager needs to address and or be aware of? We'll talk about the traits for the successful candidate, again, what those qualifications are. We like to include information in our brochures that talks a little bit about the city inside the organization, the community, and the quick facts. Those are all really important for the candidates, right? They want to know what type of community is Kalamazoo, what's the organization like, and so we work with your team, your great team, let me add, to get that information and include that in the brochure. And then obviously we'll have a question that talks about compensation and benefits, how to apply. All applications will come directly to us, and then I have my email and my phone number in there as folks are considering applying, if they have questions that they want to ask me about the position, they can call me directly as well. So those make up the components of the brochure that we'll ultimately put out to market. So let's spend some time here on the minimum qualifications, and I'm going to highlight here minimum and preferred qualifications. You all have told me that you need an experienced city manager, and so this is really important. If people don't meet these minimum qualifications, this is my job, is to make sure that anybody that I'm bringing to you in a candidate review for consideration at least meets the minimum qualifications. And so what I have heard, based on kind of what you've said, your job description, the minimum qualifications include a bachelor's degree in public administration, business administration, or related field. 10 years of progressively responsible experience in local government management, public policy, economic development, planning, or related experience. So this is all about city or local government, if you will, local government. And then 5 years of management experience. That includes coaching and mentoring. That's important too, because we know that this person is going to have a staff that reports up to them. So that's what I have for minimum qualifications. And I'll get through this, and then you guys can give me any comments that you might have. Preferred qualifications. So this is above the minimum qualifications. A master's degree and demonstrated success in areas such as, we've heard that economic development is important, downtown redevelopment, certainly affordable housing, public safety, and infrastructure management, as you're dealing with some aging infrastructure here. And then the final preferred qualification is an ICMA credentialed manager. So those are your preferred. Again, the starting line is they have to at least meet the minimum, and then we'll also look at preferred. Okay? Compensation and benefits. We know that this is really important. So it's not only about what the hiring range is, but it's about those. I like to think about total compensation, total rewards. So we've talked, the expected hiring range is, and I highlight range, right? Because you all will be doing the final negotiations. We don't do that. You all will decide that. So the expected hiring range is 220 to 250, and we will put in the brochure depending on the qualifications. That's really important as well. And then highlight your excellent benefits package. There'll be a link so that they can go and see what those benefits are. And I won't read this to you. You know what your benefits are, but we also want to make sure that we're spot on with how we've depicted the benefits. So this is the successful candidate, and this is really important. And again, I've listened to each of you all as we've gone through the discovery process. So, and I began to theme kind of what I heard you all say from the process. And we'll hear from the community as well, and so if we need to make any adjustments. But I've heard you say the next city manager of Kalamazoo needs to be visionary. They need to be a strategic leader, grounded in community well-being and equity. Equity, I've heard that over and over. That's really important. This person needs to communicate transparently. They need to be able to build trust through clear and inclusive engagement. You guys have said that this person needs to be out in the community. They need to be in touch with the community. This person needs to be visible and connected, again, across all parts of the community. And the person needs to lead with integrity and commitment to collaborative results. So those are kind of the themes from my conversations with each of you. That's what I've heard. Those are priorities for your next city manager. And so how do we do that? What does that person look like? Strong leadership. So again, I won't read this to you, but some of the words that that come to mind are confident, proactive, builds consensus, but yet can be decisive when necessary. This person needs to be a strategic thinker, experienced in strategic planning, and then can evaluate and articulate community needs. The person needs to be approachable. Again, this goes back to being out in the community and have good character. So modeling behavior throughout the organization, from the city manager suite throughout the organization, building trust and collaboration, and then be a natural convener of people, recognizing the importance of relationships and partnerships. So that's what I've heard through the discovery process that you all want in your next city manager. And that concludes the presentation. Again, I wanted to really test with you all to make sure, and I'll go back to make sure that we get the qualifications right for your next city manager. So with that, Mayor, I will stop talking and turn back to you, sir.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Very nicely laid out. And I presume this document will be available also more generally. I know people are taking pictures of the screens here, but I assume it will be, this document will be available.
Can you provide that to Neil so we can?
Your team already has it.
Of course they do.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much again. Questions, thoughts, commissioners? Commissioner Wilson.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Pamela, for breaking it down for us. It really does feel like you heard us and have kind of worked that into the plan. I also like to see that there are over 200 survey responses so far, so that's good. I appreciate that update. I had a question for the process for us deciding on 10-6 for the finalists. How is that process going to work as far as us making the decision and voting on those candidates?
Sure. So before I spill into that, let me yield to your city attorney. He and I talked at length about that.
Thank you so much, Attorney Leal.
On October 6th is the date that they would have a closed session scheduled to review the contents of the applications that is part of the list of narrow candidates that Ms. Weidman will be presenting to the City Commission for consideration. In there, you'll be reviewing the applications, asking questions for clarification from Ms. Weidman, and upon conclusion, you will come back out of closed session, and I'm going to assume that you're going to follow the same approach that the City Commission did back in 2013. At that point, the mayor will call for the top 5 or 6 candidates from each one of you to mention those, to write them down, and City Clerk Borling will then total the numbers, and the top 4 or 5 may be the actual candidates who are interviewed. But that decision about the finalists has to be made in open session.
Thanks, Attorney Leal. And at that point, will those names be made public, or are they still going to be considered confidential at that point?
I'm glad you brought up the piece about the confidentiality. The way the Open Meetings Act works when it comes in connection with recruitment of public employees, especially your appointees, is that the legislature made a balancing decision trying to weigh the interests of the candidates to have their information remain confidential versus the public's interest in knowing who these applicants are. So the confidentiality, if an applicant accepts that, and there'll be a question on the application that will ask them, do you wish to, that explains how the confidentiality process works in Michigan, and do you wish for your application to remain confidential? And they will, if they select yes, they will also be notified that confidentiality will end when the finalists are actually named, and which would be after your closed session and open session. As far as the names, I did, given that if you nominate 6 candidates and you're only wanting to interview 4, 2 candidates' names will probably be, at least 2 candidates will be named during the balloting, or I'm sorry, the tallying process. And so for that reason, I would recommend that to ensure confidentiality for those who do not get named as finalists, that the commission would name numbers or would identify the numbers of each of the candidates that you wish to go forward, so that the top 4 numbers will be getting the 4 numbers that receive the top votes will be, or 5, depending on your desire, will be the ones who are interviewed. At that point, once that is tallied, then the names will be revealed. What I don't know, and this is something we'd have to discuss with the recruiter, is whether they'll be named that night or the following morning of those who are going to be interviewed.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
All right, you're all set.
Wouldn't we have to vote on them at the business meeting? So October 6th is a regular meeting, and our committee of the whole is the closed session, correct?
That is correct. You would be making that decision in your regular business meeting. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes.
So Pamela, could you speak to that and that process where we're with you in closed session? We come here and we have our top list of candidates and we vote them by number. Clerk Borling brings those forward. You then would have time to let the candidates know that they are under consideration at that point?
Yes, what I would ask you to do, and Attorney Leal and I talked a little bit about this, is give me a break to let the folks know that they're moving forward, because I don't want them to hear their name without having heard back from me, because again, many of these folks are they're going to be still employed, right? And so I want to be able to give them a heads up either way how they are going to proceed in the process.
Helpful. Other question, Vice Mayor?
Yeah, and so we're talking 4, 5, 6 people interviewing. How many do you recommend? Thank you, Mayor. How many do you recommend in the final interviews to be here on October 13th for those interviews? What is the ideal number?
Yeah, so again, your process, but an ideal, we would consider this would be your final interviews. An ideal would be your top 3, but there's no harm if you wanted a top 4. It's about the time that you all are going to spend interviewing each of those candidates.
And you will help us through, like, you will help us with those interview questions, with moving those candidates through the interviews as well.
Right, absolutely. So the day of or the days of, I'm going to be here on site. I'm going to be helping you all. We will arrange kind of the scenarios, who's going to be asking what questions, but I will be here helping facilitate that whole thing for you all and making sure that the candidates have a great experience as well.
Other questions? Commissioner Hoffman?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being here. The minimum qualifications and the preferred qualifications, spot on as far as the business. What I'm concerned about is that we're not lifting up publicly around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and also having a lens and experience with executing anti-racism into the work. That is going to be significant. When I think about this next person moving into this position, we're talking probably no less than 10 years in the role, and that can be a life changer for our community. And then when I look at the salary range, whoa, that is impressive. And so when I hear communities saying, we need more voices to be able to lean in and not just do a session from 8 to 10 in the morning. Many people in our community are at work at that time. So there are many voices that will not be able to be present. Is there a way that we can get an additional day, maybe an afternoon or evening, a session where community can come and be off-site without being in the city hall, and let it be really community-led? I think that is very important. important when you think about this next position, when you think about the salary and the benefits. This is a huge commitment and investment for our community. And so I'm hoping that we can somehow fit that in. I don't know what your schedule is like, but I need to put that out here in the universe.
Sure.
Because it's important. And, you know, we have experienced some things in the last 12 to 15 years that we need to be able to really get to know this next individual, and the community needs to have the ability to meet them. Not that they'll make a huge decision, but that we give them the opportunity to just lean in a little bit more.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. Here's what I would say to the minimum qualifications to address your first comment. Give me an opportunity to think about, I hear you, how to write some of that language into a minimum qualification. But what I think is more importantly, again, I hear you. And so one of the ways you could get at that, if it's not written in the qualifications, is, again, we're going to have an interview process, right? And so that process is going to include a number of things that we get to co-design. And so there could be a scenario within that interview process that really helps you as a commission understand what the candidate's commitment is to diversity, equity, and inclusion, anti-racism, and not only their commitment, but really what they've done to demonstrate success in another city. I can assure you Kalamazoo you guys seem to be really far ahead, but you are not the only city dealing with that issue. And so we can build some of that into the actual interview process that really gives you a greater level of comfort. Okay.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? Yes, Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Pamela, for being here with us today. Thank you for this information. I will say that Commissioner Hoffman and Vice Mayor Hess answered, or asked 2 of my questions, so we must be thinking alike here. So I did have a question regarding, we've got we're going to start putting the ads out around August 18th, again with the first review of the applicants September 12th. Will you be making us aware of, say, maybe how many applicants you've gotten so far? And the reason I ask that is, like, say, you never know what's going to happen. Say we only get 2 applicants. Would that be extended, especially with our timeline? Would you be able, how would that time crunch be?
Absolutely. I mean, the applications come into a portal, so I can, if you want a weekly update, if you want whatever, however, what your frequency is, but I'm happy to provide you all a weekly update. The subcommittee meets every Tuesday, and so I generally, as my schedule permits, attend those, and I'm always talking with your team about planning for those meetings. So sure, I can provide you an update. I can't predict how many you're going to get, but I can certainly keep you posted.
Thank you. And yeah, not so much as who is applying, is that, well, let me ask you this. So when are you going to start really reviewing the applications? Is that going to be after it's closed? Because I would rather have an update like, hey, I've got one that I think is going to be a great fit versus I've got 20 that applied. So
yeah, so that's a great question, and thank you for asking that. So in earnest, I'm going to be monitoring it as they come along, so I can tell you numbers, right, of people. We've got 5, we've got 10, however many. I can tell you that weekly. I will begin my conversations with folks, and that's that soft close that I mentioned on September 12th. That's when I'm going to start my phone screens with people, talking to them. And so after that date, then we want to keep this confidential to the extent that we can. So if I see just a rock star, of course I'll be letting you all know that, but we want to keep names confidential until you all vote.
Awesome, thank you for that. And then I also want to uplift and, really support Commissioner Hoffman about having a time in the evening for individuals to come and ask questions. A lot of our individuals in our city work, and again, not being able to have their voices heard, I think would be detrimental. So I am definitely in support of some after hours meet and greets.
you, Commissioner Decker. Other questions? I don't know if feedback when I turn the mic on. I don't know if a bunch of us. What? Okay. Yes, Commissioner Wilson.
Thanks, Mayor. To piggyback off of Commissioner Hoffman's point, I think it is very important that we know early on their DE&I experiences, and I think waiting until the interview process might be a little too late in the game. I was wondering if we could add a question to the application or something that could have them speak to their experiences and, have us consider that.
That's Commissioner Wilson. You were really in my head. I was about to offer that. So when I do phone screens, there's a set of questions that I ask, and so I can certainly and will put a question in there. It'll go something when I'm talking to them. It'll go something like, "Please give me an example that demonstrates your experience with racial equity or diversity, equity, and inclusion." So that will be one of the things that I will highlight during that candidate review for you all. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Sure. I think there's been some question about the stakeholder meeting. And you asked us, we asked all commissioners for, your stakeholders in the community. Without saying who's coming to this breakfast in the morning, it is a wide slice of our community, from education to the spiritual community, to our neighborhood leaders, to institutions here in Kalamazoo. So I do think it's a wide swath of folks who are going to be intentionally meeting with Pamela to really dig a little bit deeper into what we need in the community. And I think they will be speaking for the entire community.
Yeah. And Vice Mayor Hess, if I might, the survey, it went up, and thank you for you all putting it on your landing page. You all have a wonderful landing page where you've dedicated a lot to this recruitment, so I really, really appreciate that. The survey is, and we'll be talking with the community in the morning, particularly around three things. One, it's what do they believe are the top, what should the next city manager really be focused on, and so we want to hear kind of those top 3 to 5 things. What are those top 3 priorities that the next city manager need to have? It's an open-ended question, right? And so if folks want to share more in the morning or on the survey, they have the opportunity. So we're not intentionally guiding them anywhere. They can share what they want. And then you may recall we have a third question that has any advice. So anything else that the community or the stakeholders in the morning want to share with us. It was designed with some intention, because we don't want to tell people how to think or what to think. We want to hear from the community, whether it be in the morning or on the survey that we're going to leave up until August 24th.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate us even getting to this level in the process. Like, this is something that I don't know how often it has happened with a city manager search, so I want to applaud us for doing this. And not every stakeholder leader represents our residents that feel they don't have a voice. And I think it is important that we make space for people, and maybe 5 people will show up, I don't know, but we should make space for that and not just rely solely on those individuals that we and others deem as leaders within our community. And I use leaders very loosely, because everybody thinks they're a leader at some point. So I just really want to echo that and state that it is important for us to hear from the least of those within our community when you think biblically about what we're doing and the important decision that we have to make as a community, not just as a commission, but as a community. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Decker, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to say, regarding the breakfast, is that, and again, I fully support Commissioner Hoffman and what she's saying, is that I think it should be I don't think it should be separated. I think everyone should be able to come in together, from the, highest stakeholders and, individuals, as you say, that may not have their voice heard. That way, really, when you think about it that way the community is really hearing what some of the stakeholders are saying also. So I just think it should be a joint meeting with all. Again, there could be only 5 people, there could be 20, but they live in the city and they're also stakeholders within the city.
Okay. Well, my sense is that the meeting for the morning has been made. And I do hope that those folks that come, and you have heard enough tonight, Pamela, to know that what you want to draw forth and let these folks know that for whom they are speaking. I don't know if you are able and willing to be here, and to have the time to put the word out to all of community and say, come and do this. I do think if in our FAQs, we also have FAQs. What does the city manager do, and what is the role of the city manager? And I do think that what you have for minimum qualifications and preferred qualifications is spot on. We need somebody that it can be the CEO of the city, that can run the city as it needs to be with all of the moving parts that we have. And yes, they need to have an awareness and a way of being that emphasizes and keeps DEI at the forefront, and where we are here in Kalamazoo and everything that was brought up by the public commenters. So yeah, I think that you're going to hear a lot tomorrow morning from the folks who attend that breakfast. You have said that you are able and willing to listen to others who may or may not be in that room tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And remotely, it would probably have to be remotely, because your next visit here isn't scheduled till October, right?
That is correct. And so you all have told me about a timeline that you want to stick to. And so, I like to think about both and, right? Like, so how can we accomplish all the things that we want to accomplish? And so certainly a virtual session where I could hear others who may not be in the room in the morning is fine. We just would need to figure out what that looks like in terms of timing. I can appreciate the evening if that works better for people. So happy to explore that more to make sure more voices are heard. But I do highlight that it would be virtual.
Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. I hear that. So my question is, so we are being as transparent as we possibly can. Will there be notes, meeting notes, taking at this breakfast tomorrow? Because I will not be there. So I would like to know, what these, what is being said and certain things and from our individuals here in the city. And would that be something that would be able to be made public?
Yeah.
And I think that might be a city attorney question on that one.
Can we put
in the front? The notes in the meeting that'll be held, the notes that are compiled from that can actually be provided to all the commission via the Friday report, the one that comes out on Friday. I know I'm speaking for the city manager right now, but I'm willing to bet money that he would accept that and put it in the Friday report.
Would that be available to the public?
We could also put it in the landing page that we have all the information regarding the recruitment. We would just continue that process. We would have to speak with Neil as to how he would put it on there, but we could certainly put that on there as well.
All right, thank you. I think that would be great, especially if individuals can't make it to the meeting in the morning, and then also the public knows, right? Just keeping everything transparent as we can. I think that'd be good.
Right, and I would say that the public should know, and if the public, when the public hears and knows, that they also know that their survey and that open other question is still there for them, and that they can, if they're reading our landing page, they know the survey is there, and they know that their voice will be seen and heard.
So in the morning, what we will do in the spirit of transparency, this is a recommendation, but Vice Mayor, I think you will be there, and Commissioner Wilson, and you guys are going to welcome folks there. And so when we begin to go over the process, what we want to accomplish is we will make sure that folks know that your comments are going to be made public, so people will know that, and then we'll need some time to draft those so that they can be in a good format for you. And so what I just want to be clear, they may not be verbatim, but they will capture the essence of the conversation in the morning. And again, we're going to, for consistency, walk people through the same questions that are on the survey. But yes, we can make those, provide those to the city.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes, Mayor. One of the proposed solutions for public comments earlier was a community-led event, which either you attended or the community somehow got you those notes. I was wondering, hypothetically, what would that look like in the process?
Yeah, so I'll provide an example. In another city, we were doing a police search. And so the city had some of the same concerns, and so the city's staff held their own public meetings. They did it at a church, and I forget, they did it, I think they did 3. And so they did just that. They provided me the comments from those meetings. So they provided me the comments from those meetings, and we incorporated them. And again, in the spirit of transparency, we have timing here, and so while they may not appear in the brochure, what we will use them for, though, is to help you as you develop your scenarios for the interviewing process. And then remember, a part of the final process is the community is going to have an opportunity to attend a meet and greet for the final candidates as well.
Okay, thank you. So in the event that we were to go that route, what would be the, I guess, drop dead date we would need to have that scheduled by or held by?
Yeah, I would suggest, if possible, if you're gonna, and I respect the fact that you need to notify people, you need to plan, and all the things that come with doing a public meeting, if you could have those, and I'm going to think about this a little more thoughtfully, but we are kind of call it mid-August now. We would really want to make sure, I would say we would have those very soon after Labor Day.
Thanks.
Okay. And I'll give some more thought to that as well.
And wouldn't these comments, Pamela, be able to shape your interview questions when you...
Absolutely. And that's, Mayor, again, Vice Mayor, that's why I was thinking I'm going to start September 12th. And so, yes, these comments will help shape my questions.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, okay, so tomorrow there will be a diversity of people in the room, and I'm wondering if it's possible that they might be willing to go back to their constituents and hold that kind of public meeting and get the comments and send them your way. Is that something that we can suggest in the morning?
If you all are comfortable with that, again, you know your city, it's your process. If you have folks in there that you want to offer that to, it's totally fine for me. I just want to make sure I get comments that I can use. Yeah, that will be beneficial to your process.
Other thoughts? None right now? Okay. So first of all, this is helpful to be, talking through this together. I appreciate that very much. And I know there's a desire for more opportunity for input. I guess I have a series of thoughts about that in no particular order. One is I don't, in the effort to do this, I don't want to diminish the importance of the survey in filling out the survey. If someone has the opportunity to do that, I would certainly want to make sure we're encouraging that at the same time, so people don't sit around and wait for a town hall, and that's when they'll get to make their comments. So I don't want to diminish that. Second, remind me, did we have some paper copies of surveys out, and how well distributed are those at this point? How are we getting those?
So the number that I gave you earlier, those are all electronic. That's what we've gotten electronically, so that seems to be working really well.
Great.
I talked with Patricia earlier. She said you guys have gotten one paper. I was very pleased when I walked in your front door that I saw your box down there and the paper copies. It's also my understanding that a QR code was submitted at some, shared at some of your National Night Out events.
Correct.
And then I think you're going to have a gun violence event on the 22nd or 23rd of 23rd. And so that was part of the logic for us leaving it up until the 24th, because we really wanted to make sure we had people had that opportunity the 23rd. So electronic is going well. We haven't gotten as many paper.
Okay, that's helpful. Thinking about the process here, which would maybe be more on us to organize in terms of trying to collect data in as many formats as possible, and maybe a convening or a town hall could be one of those formats. Then there are logistics to think through about that. There's, are we going to be looking for a neutral convener who could help organize that kind of a gathering? Do we care? Are we just going to suggest to community writ large, have your own gathering and collect information and share it, that sort of thing? So I think there's just some logistic piece of this that we'll want to think about in terms of how do you achieve the broadest representation? How do you make sure that if this opportunity is available, it's not an opportunity just for certain people? Anybody who wanted to participate in that way, in terms of being in a town hall, could participate. There would be kind of an open invitation for that, or invitations, depending on what it is. And then how is that shared back with you to be most helpful? So I don't have all those things figured out right now, but I began to think through those various logistical kinds of things. Anecdotal, but I just came from a meeting, for example, that was a very important meeting. And one thing I noted is in that meeting, which was a period of time, an hour or whatever, there was an opportunity for questions. And there was a tendency for the questioners to spend a great deal of time talking about themselves and their own situation, rather than taking advantage of the fact that a person who could answer that question was in the room. And, the time got burned up, and we were, those kinds of things in a meeting can kind of get away from you, and you're not really staying focused on it, or you've got an hour and one person's deciding that they're going to speak for 10 minutes. So there's just all those details about how does that work, in a session. Are you deploying some sort of meeting management, like, well, hey, there's 50 people here, we're going to do this for an hour, everyone's got 2 minutes, or whatever it might be. So there's just a variety of things for us to think through in terms of how to collect that information, and then for it to be able to be aggregated in some way, which is helpful to you, and not just a list of 75 brand new things to think about, I guess, as into this. So I don't know if you have any particular thoughts on that, but if you do, that'd be helpful.
I do have thoughts.
Okay.
So, and you've alluded to them, Mayor. You talked about well-planned. You need a good facilitator. We need to manage the time, and that the information that will come from those meetings needs to be formatted or compiled in such a way so that it is useful to all of us, right? And so if I could go back to our meeting that we have on Tuesday, I am happy to share that information on our upcoming calls. So my advice about how I've seen this done and how I've seen it done well. Also, Vice Mayor Hess and Mr. Wilson will be there in the morning. I don't know how long you plan to stay or what your schedule permits, but you can kind of see the process for in the morning for how we plan to manage it and get the most out of people's time. I think we have an hour and a half planned, and I think that time will be well spent so that everybody, what's really important is we want to hear from everybody, and we want to be good stewards of everybody's time, and we really want to make sure that we get the information out of the process. So I'm happy to share that more at length with the subcommittee if that is helpful.
Is everybody comfortable with that idea? Okay, very helpful. Thank you, appreciate that. Any other questions, concerns, thoughts for our partner in this process who's here in town with us today? All right, seeing none, thank you once again so very much. Appreciate you.
David?
Oh, Vice Mayor.
Had another question.
Wrap it up. All right.
I'm not going to wrap it up.
Okay.
I mean, so Pamela, you know, you do several of these searches, and your success rate is pretty high. And I'm just wondering, as we move through this process, in your professional opinion, what is the likelihood of success for us on this first go-round?
We're going to do our very, very best to ensure that you all are successful on your first round. I will say, of course, there are always market dynamics, right? But that's the importance of making sure that we're having this conversation. And so I appreciate you all sharing. This is really the importance of making sure that we have agreement on what those minimum qualifications are, what those preferred qualifications are, so that we can be communicating transparently to the candidates all along. As I think it's Commissioner Decker, if we get to a point in the process, you'll know well before September 12th if the pool isn't looking good, right? And so I think city managers, I think we will be, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think you will be successful.
Thank you. I appreciate this. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah. And let me just finally applaud you all. One of the things, too, is your total compensation, right? So we talked about what that salary is. And so you all have heard that, and we put it out there. We'll put it in there. Your other benefits that you offer as well. So,
And one last thing. I know that, you know, in this whole process, we've been looking at Battle Creek. You know, tomorrow night, they're interviewing their final 3 candidates. And on their second search, which is one of the reasons why I asked about success. I would like for us to be successful on our first search. So they are looking to interview those 3 people tomorrow night. It might behoove us to kind of check in on Facebook or check in on their interviews to see how they go.
No guarantees, but working together. I'm very pleased to where we are at this point.
All right, thank you so much. Anything else from the subcommittee? All right, thank you again.
All right. Thank you all. It's great to see you.
Yes. Commissioners, as with every committee of the whole, now is the opportunity for commissioner comments. There won't be an opportunity later because we don't have a business meeting. I won't say what my opinion is on that, but I'm happy to say, I guess, that there will not be a business meeting directly after this one. So anyone who wants to take advantage of commissioner comments for the committee of the whole this evening? All right. Well, we've had an opportunity to talk through this a lot. I really appreciate it. Once again, I do want to say special gratitude, Commissioner Pradel's not here, to the subcommittee that's working on this. It's a real commitment of time, effort, intellect into this process. This is obviously not something that happens every day at the city. And I also want to particularly thank our attorney, Liel, for all the, I would say, critically important assistance assistance that you are providing for this effort as well. So thank you so very much. And thank you, my colleagues. I look forward to taking us through this very important process together. We are adjourned.